Good afternoon. Welcome to our monthly member speaker series, where our friends and neighbors share their life experiences with us. Today we have the pleasure of having Nan Lloyd and assistant Kathy Jackson, who will tell us about her 50 years of birding around the world. Here's some background information covering Nan's life. She was born and raised in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Her education includes a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Chestnut Hill College in Philadelphia. Upon graduation, she worked for the DuPont Company as a registered patent agent in DuPont's legal department. Upon retirement, Nan moved to Sea Pines in Hilton Head Island. Now Nan will tell us about her travels and love of birding. Please welcome me and join Nan Lloyd.
You can start talking.
Thank you, May. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I brought a couple things for show and tell first before I start. One, I am not an ornithologist or birder, and also I don't use one of those huge cameras, which are fantastic for birding. I have it's heavy but it's small, and it's a Sony digital, and it goes from 64 to 600, so it's pretty good. But it's I'm not taking those fantastic pictures that other birders are. Oops. The other thing I wanted to show you was this is a second edition of Roger Torrey Peterson's Guide to the Birds of the U.S. Look how skinny it is. 1937. It does have a few colored plates in it, which surprised me. But I just can't believe the size of the books now and everything, and this skinny little thing this started it all. But it's fun to have. And it belonged to a friend of mine's father. And this is a catalog for Victor Emmanuel Nature Tours and Vent. It's called VENTbird.com on the internet. This is the group that I travel with. There weren't many bird tours when I started out, and Massachusetts Audubon had some, and I went on two of theirs out to California and the state of Washington a long time ago. But so I came to Hilton Head in the late 70s, and I met a couple of birders down here, Grant Simmons and Barry Moe and whatnot, and they talked me into going with them. They were traveling with them, and I've been with them ever since. I've been on about 26 or 27 tours, and I think they're really great. They're out of Austin, Texas. So, okay. I graduated in 56, I think it was, from college, and the 1st of June, the 1st of July, I joined the DuPont Company in Wilmington, Delaware, and the 1st of August, with my first paycheck, I joined the Employees Country Club to play golf and tennis, and that's what I did for the next 30 years. But what I wanted to say was, while I was doing all that, I ended up rupturing a disc, very similar to the lecture we had a couple weeks ago. And I couldn't go out and play on the weekends and after work, and a friend gave me a bird feeder to keep me happy. And so all I knew of chickadee and a cardinal and things like that, and all of a sudden one day, this different bird came in, and it was just gray and white, a little tiny thing. And I had gotten a $10 golden guide by then, and I went the whole way through the book, and it was almost on the last page. it was a Junco, and it matched perfectly. Well, that's what you call your spark bird. I was hooked from then on. And so anyway, I got in with a neurosurgeon and my back was fine after a year or two, and I got back to golf and tennis, and but I was hooked on birding, and I started traveling for birding, and it's been a lot of fun. But took a lot of slides, but now we're into the computer stuff, so I have to start showing you about 2006. I don't have a projector anymore, but anyway, most of my, or all of it, I think, was done in the United States. And Attu in Alaska was, in those days, the holy grail for birders. This is the Aleutian Islands from the, here is Anchorage, and we went in a boat all the way out here to the end of Attu, and then eventually over to Russia, got a plane home. But this is about 1,000 miles, and it's mostly seabirds and seals and fishermen and that sort of thing. And there's a Coast Guard station at the end. And you got all these birds being windswept around the Pacific at the migrations. And that's where you get, hopefully, rarities. And so the bird group chartered this boat, runs up and down the West Coast, I guess, in the summer. And they were going back to the Pacific to run around like ours go to the Caribbean. So they chartered it from the West Coast, from Anchorage to Russia, and we were the only ones on it. There were about 80 of us, all birders. And that's all we did, the whole way out. Hang over the balcony, and we would go ashore once we got there, but in these little Zodiacs with a outboard. Occasionally we got a hitchhiker, a red-breasted nuthatch, all the way out in the Aleutian Islands. And we had a yellow warbler and some other things, but thousands and thousands of greater shearwaters. They cut the engine at one point, and all you could hear was flap, 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 and there was another sound. It was beautiful. And whales. It was about a 3-week trip. I chose it, no wrinkles. This is the long haul. And this is what we did when we got there. You walked, and you walked and walked, and that was tall grass. And most of these people carried scopes. What did they do there? You had to be careful of foxholes. You know, the Japanese occupied Attu during World War II. There were all kinds. They had signs up, ordnance, stay out of this area and whatnot. And you had to walk through water occasionally too. There were very few roads, debris left from the war. And only the Coast Guard station there, Snowy Owl, and it was fun to see it. And that's a wood sandpiper. But sure, this is an interesting fellow here in Marshall Island. He was just out of college and he was guiding for the event group, and he wanted to get married and settle down. And Victor, I overheard him because we're all standing there together, talked him into going to Cornell. And he was in on the ground floor of eBird, and he is still there. He came all the way up with it. And he's a project director and is still there because I talked to somebody the other day who knows him. It's kind of funny to have touched. It's quite an organization. Other than Attu, whoops, I thought the other map was in there. One second, I'll get used to this. Up here is St. Lawrence Island, not the one over in the Great Lakes. This is Russia, the gray area here. This is Nome, that yellow area there. this was another trip. We flew from Anchorage to Nome, and then flew out to Gamble Island for about a week, and that's another great place to get rarities. And I've had lots of friends say, "Man, I want to go birding with you." And I said, "But you're not a birder." And they said, "Oh, well, I'll do my own thing." Well, we'll see about that. Okay, I'll get used to it. This is where the Iditarod race, the dog race, ends here in Nome. See the gateway here, and the Board of Trade, and there's a saloon. That was about it, and the main street. And we did take one day to go out in the countryside and birding, and we took our picnic lunch along with us. There were bears. He had to clap his hands every now and then to make sure they weren't coming around. That's a bristle-thighed curlew, which is a very good shorebird to get. And they do come to Hawaii in the winter, and people see them on the golf course. Kathy has. You don't see a black-bellied plover that black around here, so that's his spring plumage. And if you go to Gamble, you either sit on the beach or and watch for seabirds as they come to puffin, or you walk for a whole week. You can see my friends were going to do their own thing. But the reason we're walking here is little birds are in the grass, and there are also birds on the hillside. They're getting ready to nest in that snow or waiting for it to melt. And you can see them all along, the red thing, all along here. They're alcids and other seabirds. But that kind of bird. And this was Eskimo territory that we were in. We had to have special permission for birders to go there because it's government property. And they're unfortunately not too neat, but you see that the world over. And these are seal skins drying. I don't know what happened in this house. Whale bones. And we walked and walked. Whale bones. And we stayed in a house like this. It was built for the contractors that made a schoolhouse for the Eskimo children. And birders rented for a week or two during the season. And it was really, really simple, I should say, please. Well, I got the DTs about the third day there because there was no Coke. And so I went to their grocery store. And unfortunately, this is government surplus these Eskimos are getting. And I couldn't believe it. Look at the olives. Oops. I gotta get used to this thing. Oops. Sorry. I'm sorry. Olives. There's, I'm not seeing right from this angle, but anyway, there's nothing. Oh, look at the whole shelf of mayonnaise over here. Nothing suitable for Eskimos to eat. And while I was there looking for Coke, there were two young fellows came in black business suits with clipboards, and they were providing their supplies for the Eskimos. I thought it was terrible. But, so anyway, this is a little warmer and a little more cheerful here. Just like Tide Point, cats were laying around. Kathy and I went. Van often has a main tour, and then he'll offer a pre-tour or after tour of 3 or 4 days, and you can sign up for those. And we wanted to be sure to see tigers, so we signed up for an earlier portion. And it was right outside of Ugelly, a big national park.
It was a tiger preserve.
Yes. And you know where you are? India. Laundry everywhere. Outdoors. This is Mumbai. I call it Bombay. I don't know what's in there, I guess it's pro-disposal. But they're as junky as the Eskimos were. I can't figure people out the world over. We fortunately traveled on a train that was similar to the Orient Express, the Maharaja Express. We had the whole train, there were 40 of us. And a dining car, bar car, and each of us, you know, our own, what do you call them on a train? Sleepers, okay. And that was the dining car, really good food. And every place we stopped to get off, there was always a group of people with music and horses and elephants and everything to greet us and entertain us. It was a lot of fun. And then we would get on a bus or something and go to the parks to see the birds. And or if there was really a spectacular sight there, we'd go to see that. But here we are birding in India, and this was a huge preserve, so you couldn't walk it, you'd be a week getting around it. And this is how we birded all day. It was really fun. He knew his birds too. I have my notes here, but I keep forgetting. I think this was a tree pine. Rufus tree pine. Oh well. I was really good at it. There it is. Rufus tree pine. Oh good. That's a kingfisher. We have them all over the world, but different kinds. And this, I got a kick out of this fellow's hairdo. It was a crested eagle. Oops. This is a hopu, and I've seen those in other countries too. They really get around that cute little bird. Hopu, H-O-P-O-E. A red-faced lapwing. And this I really like. Look at the tail on that. I don't know what it's used for. That must attract something. And a yellow stork and painted stork. They really were colorful too. Storks everywhere, flamingos, thousands of them. And we got off the train eventually. It was most of the trip. And we stayed at a hotel that had these tented rooms to them. Beautiful grounds. This was our room. And they had the ceiling was the canvas, and it had printed tigers and all kinds of things, and the ceiling was really beautiful. And elephants, and these were our neighbors. What the lunch you could have here, and one of the dining rooms. It was a beautiful hotel. Oberoi, I think they're called Oberoi hotels, all around India. And one day we went for a camel ride, and we were going to dinner, and lots of entertainment. I didn't realize till today, whoops, I'm back there. I thought that's not a good place to sit with camels. But it was almost like a football field. They had cloth all the way around. Everybody had their individual little table and drinks and constantly serving food. And they had entertainment. They even had a girl dancing on nails. I couldn't believe it. They really do exist. And for a little variety, we went for a ride. And this whoops, I keep pressing the wrong thing. This gal, she and her husband have been on about 30 of the Atlantic trips, and I've encountered her a number of times, and she was a lot of fun. So I put the two of them up on the elephant. Yeah, how's that for a sea pine circle? The sacred cows and the pigeons. He's eating about the only piece of grass that's on there. But they were all over India in the middle of things and walking down the road. And this is another laundry. Do you see all those people over there doing their laundry? This is right behind the Taj Mahal. Isn't that building beautiful? I think it's the prettiest building I've ever seen in the world. It really is. Millions of people there, but it was fun. I think Africa is one of my favorites. I have been there twice, once in '72, from Nairobi all the way to the Cape Lookout. And then the second trip, I went from Namibia through Botswana to Zambia and Victoria Falls. And this is the Okavango, is that it?
Yeah.
Okavango Delta. It's in the papers all this week. They're killing elephants, zebra, you name it. The people are starving. They're having tremendous droughts, and there's nothing to eat. The animals alone don't have anything to eat, so it's really a crime. But what can they do? It's a tragedy. We flew several times in these countries from spot to spot. I'm getting a few wrinkles. These are bird nests. Well, condominiums, I guess they should be. And these two, isn't that amazing? There are apparently 100 nests in there. Everybody's having a good time. And this, everybody's seen in ostrich. But what I wanted to show you is look at all these little chicks. And you think they're going to grow up to look like this. Isn't that amazing? They're really cute. A roller. There are many, many colorful birds in Africa. That's another one. Hornbill. Lots of hornbills, different names. And this was one of our lodges, and we came into here, the plane landed out there, and we came in a boat, and we spent several days just going around in boats, birding the birds. The bushes were full of birds and also hippos. But I was just waking up one morning, and I heard this splash right outside the cabin. It was a hippo, I guess, woke up and rolled over. This is a African skimmer, and if you go down to Port Royal Plantation or Beach City Road, past the airport, you find the American skimmer. It's the identical bird, except here, ours, the bill is half and half black and half red. That's about the only difference I can discern, but it's a different bird. But they're really very pretty. It's we have the American skimmer. This is the African skimmer. It goes along skimming on the water and picking up stuff to eat. This is called a go-away bird. It apparently is its call. It's going to go away, go away, go away. That's why they call it that. And this is a hammercock, K-O-P. Oops. This part of it is the beak. This part is a crest. Can you believe it? It does look like a two-sided hammer.
Yes.
I think these are open-billed storks as opposed to the yellow stork in India. And this is a saddleback stork. This little, whoops. I need to free understanding. This little fellow is an ox pecker, and he does the same thing as a woodpecker on a tree, getting the bugs, and he goes on the buffalo and the cows and whatnot, and picks the bugs off all day. They really like them. There he is. Cute little birds. Another kitty cat. Just like High Point. And I love this elephant, like, you're not going anywhere. So we did turn around. Standing there, leaning on his foot. Interesting story. These are Egyptian geese. I saw them in '72 in Nairobi. About 10 years ago, they turned up in Beaufort, and I ran up and got to see them. And about 5 years ago, 4 of them ended up in Lawton's Gable, and I have pictures of them. And then they apparently migrated to Florida. They've not been here anymore. They migrated to Florida, and they are nesting and reproducing down there. So the American Birding Association has now accepted them as U.S. birds. And they're Egyptian geese, but it was really something to see them again. Oh, every day, hopefully at happy hour, we would get together and go over our checklist of what we'd seen for the day and what to expect for tomorrow and whatnot. Now we're getting toward the end, and we're at the Royal Livingston Hotel in Victoria Falls. Beautiful hotel. And that is David Livingston up here with flowers in front of him. And our group, there were 4 of us in Africa. We had a guide, bird guide, and a driver, and 4 of us passengers. It was really a nice group. One of the places I've long wanted to go, I'm a Hemingway fan from Africa, and I had just come back from India and got a call from Ben that they had a space on a trip to Cuba. And I went. I've never been so tired on a trip in my life. But anyway, I went to Cuba, and I was so glad I did, because it's very hard to get in. And this is the bee hummingbird. It's the smallest bird in the world. It is 2 inches. That's the male, and that's the female. And the only place they are in Cuba, and they're getting in short supply. And some of them have wandered over to Nassau, they say occasionally, but, and I didn't realize that hummingbirds are only in the Western Hemisphere. None in Europe, none in Asia, not even in Hawaii. They're only North America and South America. And this is in Hemingway's house. It's about 3 or 4 times the size of the one in Key West. Same style architecture, painted the same stucco, and full of memorabilia, but open, no air conditioning, doors open, windows open. You can imagine the climate down there. 4 books are getting mildew, all kinds of paintings, and the boat is still out to the elements sitting there, and these are little cat cemeteries. I don't know whether they're 6-toed or not, but they're more of his cats. But I asked the guide, who looked like she was from the States, and I said, who is maintaining this? Because, boy, they're not maintaining things in Cuba. And she said, Springer is doing it. They take care of the place, provide the money for it. And she said one of his granddaughters was just here. She's in college, and she had about 6 of her friends with her. And I thought, can you imagine saying to your friend, want to go to my grandfather's for spring break? Go down to Cuba and see his house. But that sounded exciting. The Western Spinalis, they come to Florida occasionally. And that is a Cuban Trogon. And look at those colors, you know. Oops. And that is I'm sorry, that's the Cuban Trojan. And this is a yellow grassfoot and a Cuban toddy. And I thought, I should have gotten my own. This is too close, not my own gun. Anyway, there's dark red, pink, blue, and 2 shades of green on there. Isn't that incredible? A tiny little bird about the size of a wren. Not too shrewd looking. And most of the trip we had to stay in houses, and you might get one little towel, no washcloth, maybe a little bit of soap, no shampoo, things like that. It was really sad. But they do have the cars there. And we went for a ride. It was really lots of fun. Marjorie Merriweather Post serial had a yacht in the 30s and so on. 20s, was it, Kathy?
20s.
20s and 30s. And a German company bought it after she died, and they chartered it out for any period of time somebody wants to rent it or something. And our bird company rents it twice a year, one for a trip to the Lesser Antilles, and then later on in the late spring in Portugal and Spain. The last time we were there, they said Marriott has bought the ship. And I read just the other day they're taking it to the Mediterranean this summer, and it'll be out of commission for 3 years till they rehab it. And they'll be running it. And I said, just so they don't put microwaves and refrigerators.
And just a little more of the background, Marjorie Merriweather Post at one point in time was married to E.F. Hutton, and E.F. Hutton commissioned the building of the ship Sea Cloud.
Present for it. This is where we were down in the Lesser Antilles. We went to about 7 islands, pull in, get off the boat, and hike for birding. That's the ship. Beautiful. I think how many did it hold? About 40 of us all together. Very pretty, beautiful. And we did sail. They used the motor when they had to, but sailed more than that. Not. And this, we just arrived. Look, I still have my COVID mask on, but there was champagne there, so I could pull the mask off and have some champagne. That's a gas fire, but this is the room we were in, the stateroom. It was beautiful. I said to Kathy, we can't show this picture. I have the same jacket and the same pants on every trip. And this was buffet on the Lido deck, and we're having flying fish burgers and pork, if you want it, and tuna. Food was really bad, but this is lunch. And this was part of the dining room. There's more in through that doorway. Beautiful woodwork in the room. And while we were there, it happened to be Kathy's birthday. So they brought her a cake with a candle on it.
Did you blow that out?
And this was one of the greatest trips to Antarctica. And you know, you all have millions of stories to tell about flights, delays, canceled schedules, and all that. Well, here's our trip to South America. We were here from Ushuaia down to Antarctica, over to South George Island and the Falkland Islands and back. It was a 3-week trip. And there's Nan and her pond going to South America. 64 hours to get there. We had all kinds of cancellations and delays and everything else. And by the everything was closed up in the airport, so we were just left to ourselves. And the next day, we finally made it to Buenos Aires, but it was late in the afternoon, and Kathy began to wilt. She's supposed to take charge and everything, the tickets and all that, but she had had it by then. This is our luggage pile up there. But we finally made it, and this was our ship, the Sea Adventure, Polaris cruise line. There were about 120 on there. We were 20 birders of our group, but the rest were birders and all kinds of people on the ship. And it was all open. It was really nice. You could sit down and meet with anybody anytime you want. It was a lot of fun. A little cold. And COVID was still going on.
It's fun, it's cute.
We went out in Zodiacs, and it's hard to get a place to land. There were, what beaches there were filled up with seals and penguins and all over the hills. It was fabulous. So Kathy took good pictures of them. That's one of them. That's the king penguin.
Yeah, that's the king.
Penguin. And that's the Gen 2 penguin. I love that boat. And this is, they say they nest on rocks. I think they're crazy. They're all just stones. And that's Virginia's chin strap. See the whoops. And these are king penguins. This picture, where I showed you the picture of the birds all over the hillside in Gamble, these spots are people from our ship, birders, and they're looking for penguins that burrow in the ground up here, the rockhopper penguins. I was with this group down here, I didn't climb up there, but I thought, look how far they walk. That's the penguin we were looking for.
And on top of it?
Yeah, on top of it is an albatross, and these are albatross nests. They were clay and grass, and they built it out of that and had a big chicken there. This was the prize. I had read ahead of time, fortunately, that the emperor penguin, which is in short supply, they tend to be one or two on an ice floe, not wandering around on the beach and stuff like that. They're solitary. Most of the penguins, too, are about 10 to 20 pounds and maybe a foot high or 2 feet high. These can get close to 100, and they're 4 and 5 feet tall. And I was on the railing with my camera, and I thought, uh-oh, there are 2 of them over there. I think that's the emperor penguin, and I started snapping pictures, and that's what you can tell he's bigger than the others. And all of a sudden, the loudspeaker went on, and they said, emperor penguin, port side, emperor penguin. I'm surprised the ship didn't lean over. That was really quite a treat to get that picture. They think they moved around to the west side of Antarctica and the back side, but nobody goes there. So they could fly over, I think, but anyway, they're hoping they're not disappearing. These crazy people came down just to kayak in the Antarctic Ocean. They never went to shore to look at the penguins or anything like that. They were doing their thing. They probably thought we were crazy, chasing birds. There was a lot of, I thought, can you imagine how cold that was, sitting in a kayak with ice floes all around. That's a black-brown albatross. There were several albatrosses on the trip. This picture is South Georgia Island. It's, anybody read the Endurance Shackleton's book about his trip to Antarctica. This is his grave, and he was the one looking for the South Pole. I think he made 2 trips, but never got there. And when we arrived here, they have little cups, paper cups with scotch in them, and you have kind of here to the explorer. But no matter where you go, I think you'll always have a good time and a lot of fun, see a lot of birds, but it's always good to get back home.
Yeah.
You know where you are, Joey?
Yeah.
Looks familiar.
Wood storks. Not very colorful, but they're ours. That's it. I didn't realize. We're going to the Amazon in January. Take a boat, and going to Peru, and we're taking a boat down the Amazon. And then we're taking a boat around the Peloponnese of Greece in May. Not many birds here, lots of stones, but it will be fun. I'm leaning toward small boats now. I don't walk as well. I've had both knees replaced, and arthritis has set in, and I can't take really long walks. So I thought, if it's a day that I don't want to go walking, I can stay on the boat type thing rather than moving on and on and on. So that's what we're doing.
Great.
Any questions for Nan?
Any people been to
Questions?
Antarctica? Any people been to Antarctica? Oh, yes.
We got some people.
Good.
It's the quietest place I've ever been.
Pardon me?
It's the quietest.
Yes,
Yes.
you're right. I would go back. I liked it.
Any questions? What is the question?
So how many birds do you have on your list there now?
Oh, I should say that there are 11,000 birds in the world. They've counted them. And 1,100 in the United States. And I am a lister, not a photographer or whatnot, but anyway, when I see a bird and I identify it and know it's mine, I list it. And that's what most birders do. And we ask each other, what is your life list? And people want to talk about them and tell you how many they have. And, it's not a thing I have more than you have type of thing. And we share information, where's a good place to go, and this, that, and the other. And so over the years, and asking people what their life list was, I've decided foreign service people have the most birds. And second was oil people. And so anyway, a fellow has just retired from foreign service, and he was written up in the Birding magazine this summer that he has 10,000, and he has retired, and he's a tour guide for one of the big companies.
And what's your life list?
About 1,700 world, and this includes the U.S., but in the U.S. I'm about 750. People really work hard to get to 700, and I just got there this year in Hawaii, and there was another fellow on the trip, and he was trying for 800, and everybody was urging us on, and he got it too. And the funny part about that fellow, he was sitting next to me one night at dinner, and I happened to mention Actu, and he turned around, he said, I knew you from somewhere. I thought I knew you from somewhere. He had been on the same trip back in 2006. It was really fun. And I've run into about 4 of them from Actu, and more, now I'm running into more people because I'm traveling more. So it's a lot of fun talking. They tell you places to go, and we had a friend here this summer stayed with Kathy for a week from California. She came to get the painted bunting, and we've been on a couple trips with her, and she got it. So,
Are there certain times of the day that are better for bird
very
watching?
early in the morning and in the evening. Yes.
How early do you get up?
Well, it depends on the light, but as soon as daybreak. And actually, in India, we went out in the dark. We had fire pits to keep us warm and got in jeeps to go look for the tigers. It was pitch dark. And blankets and hot water bottles. I haven't seen a hot water bottle in a million years. In the jeeps, it was cold. So it's been a lot of fun. Do we have any other listers here? No listers?
Well, thank you, Nan. It's been wonderful. Great presentation. Thank you very much. Hope to see everybody next month, November 11th. Janet Porter is speaking. She's going to talk about her life. So put it on your calendar, November 11th. It's always the second Monday of the month. And if you'd like to speak, please see me. Put you on our schedule.
Same, Kathy.